Picture this. You're watching the biggest, most prestigious sports tournament on Earth. Two elite national teams step out onto the pitch. The stakes? Absolutely massive. You win, you advance. You lose, you go home. So naturally, you expect drama, right? You expect to see athletic brilliance. But instead, you get something deeply unsettling. A surreal, almost chilling atmosphere takes over the stadium. The world's greatest professional athletes, performing on the biggest stage imaginable, simply stop trying.
Literally, they just stop. They stop attacking. They stop trying to score. They completely stop playing football. For more than an hour, the ball is just casually passed around the field. There's almost zero effort to create any real chances. The pacing of the whole game just flatlines. The commentators calling the match are stunned into absolute silence. Even the substitutes on the bench look completely confused. I mean, it looked like a football match on television, but as the minutes agonizingly ticked by, a really dark realization crept over the millions of people watching. This wasn't a competition anymore. It was a deal, and it was being executed right in front of our eyes.
Okay, let's dive into this. This is the story of the Disgrace of Gijón, the most controversial match in the entire history of the FIFA World Cup. In this explainer, we're going to uncover how a completely invisible loophole turned a high-stakes athletic contest into what felt like a calculated boardroom transaction. We'll see how it fundamentally broke a system and left millions of fans feeling completely betrayed.
Section 1. The day football stopped.
Section 2. The perfect motive.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the math. To understand how a massive global sporting event like the 1982 World Cup in Spain could be so completely derailed, you have to look at the numbers. Because every great heist requires a perfect motive, right? And in Group 2, the standings served as the ultimate blueprint for what was about to happen. Three teams were locked in this desperate fight for survival: West Germany, Austria, and Algeria. Now, Algeria had already finished all of its games, which actually included a monumental upset victory over West Germany. So their fate now depended entirely on one final match between West Germany and Austria. And this setup created the perfect storm. Let's walk through it. If West Germany wins by exactly 1 or 2 goals, both Germany and Austria advance. If Germany wins by 3 or more goals, Austria is out and Algeria goes through. And if Austria draws or wins, Germany could be knocked out entirely. Algeria was basically trapped in a mathematical web, relying on 2 fierce rivals to play a hard, unpredictable game. Except, it wasn't going to be unpredictable at all.
You see, there was exactly one result, a narrow 1-0 or 2-0 German victory that was mutually beneficial to both of the teams on the pitch. This wasn't just a quirky sports statistic. It was an incredibly dangerous incentive. It meant that a narrow German victory was literally the only way both of those European nations could survive and advance together. Now, before kickoff, nobody really thought much about this mathematical quirk. After all, professional athletes at the absolute peak of their careers would never manipulate a match on such a massive stage, right? Or would they?
Section 3, the 10-minute mark. Let's go back to match day, June 25th, 1982.
The stadium in Gijón was packed to the brim. The fans were expecting an absolute battle between two heavyweights. And for the first 10 minutes, the atmosphere was electric. West Germany attacked relentlessly right from the opening whistle. It was action-packed. And then, in the 10th minute, German striker Horst Hrubesch found the back of the net. Germany takes a 1-0 lead. A massive roar goes up in the stadium. But as the players reset at the center circle, it's like a switch flips. The scoreboard now showed exactly 1-0, the precise, exact scoreline both teams needed to guarantee their survival.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happened next. Almost instantly, the game just collapsed. Instead of pushing for a second decisive goal to secure their lead, Germany just slowed down. Austria, they completely refused to chase an equalizer. Players started passing the ball sideways in this eerie, super unhurried rhythm. Defenders were just exchanging easy passes with absolutely no pressure. Midfielders held possession without ever trying to move forward. The attacks just completely disappeared, and all that early sense of urgency vanished into thin air. Neither side showed even an ounce of interest in changing that 1-0 scoreline.
Section 4. The Disgrace of Gijón.
As the minutes agonizingly dragged on, the tens of thousands of people in that stadium began to realize exactly what they were witnessing. And look, you cannot fool a stadium full of passionate football fans. That quiet confusion from the stands quickly turned into a rumbling wave of real-time outrage. The crowd realized they were no longer watching a sporting competition, they were watching a transaction. As one account described the scene, fans started whistling, others booed loudly, some spectators even waved money in the air. That raw emotion, that absolute feeling of betrayal totally defined the rest of the day. By waving cash, the fans were directly accusing the teams of selling out the spirit of the game. When the final whistle finally blew, the score was of course 1-0. Germany and Austria advanced, Algeria was eliminated, and newspapers everywhere immediately branded the event the Disgrace of Gijón.
But here is where the story takes a really fascinating, almost true crime sort of turn. We have the accusation versus the defense. On one side, you've got furious fans, journalists, and neutral supporters calling it a blatant betrayal of competition, basically a scam played out in front of millions of people. But on the other side, the players from both Germany and Austria vehemently denied any official wrongdoing, and their defense is actually really interesting. They said they simply played the situation. They argued that tournament football is about achieving objectives, and technically, and this is the key word, technically, they broke no written rules. They didn't violate a single law of the game. They just found a systemic loophole, and they ruthlessly exploited it.
Let's move to Section 5, changing the rules forever, and see how this builds.
This massive global outrage quickly became a complete nightmare for FIFA. It forced them to look past the individual players and actually examine their own deeply flawed tournament structure. Because the real problem wasn't just human nature, right? It was a system that allowed teams to know exactly what mathematical result they needed before they even stepped onto the grass. So what was the solution? Destroy the perfect motive. From that tournament onward, FIFA mandated that all final group stage matches must be played simultaneously. It's a massive structural change. By having simultaneous kickoffs, teams can no longer know the exact outcome of the other game while they're playing. Suddenly, calculating a mutually beneficial result in real time, it became virtually impossible. You had to play to win because you simply didn't know what was happening in the other stadium.
So, over 4 decades later, football supporters still heavily debate the events of that day. Was it match fixing, or was it just incredibly smart, deeply cynical tournament management? Did these players break the game, or did they simply expose a system that practically begged to be broken? What makes the Disgrace of Gijón so legendary isn't actually what happened on the pitch, it's what didn't happen. It's a really powerful reminder that the rules of a game don't just determine who wins, they literally dictate human behavior. So the next time you're watching the World Cup and you see 2 final group stage matches kicking off at the exact same second, remember the Disgrace of Gijón. You're watching the invisible, enduring legacy of the day the world's greatest athletes realized that doing absolutely nothing was the smartest move of all.